don't see him. I wanted to cross myself and touch my heart. Instead, I glanced at the television, which was flashing the color of spoons and knives. Every house on the block, even the poor ones, had a color TV. But we were watching black and white, because the set still had a couple of good years in it. When a soldier was hurt or killed in the movies, the blood was gray. When a husband thrust flowers into a wife's smiling face, the fist-like blooms were black. "God took my good job away," my stepfather cried. "Now I have a lousy job." "God didn't take your job," I almost snapped, angry that he should even think such a thing. "Your boss did." He muttered about his boss and picked at some hair snared by his watch band. Then he stared at the wall, where a portrait of a ship on really rough seas hung. It was the most beautiful thing in our house. After a few more Indians died, I got up and went outside to stand on the front lawn and look skyward at one ragged cloud, pulled thin and stripped of any hope of rain. In the east, the mountains rose in a blue haze, and the evening dark descended. I looked back at the living room, lit with a yellow lamp. My stepfather was slumped over his TV tray, his whiskery jowls sunk into his chest. He was staring down at the dead and live presidents. I quit high school my senior year, just after Christmas. My brother Abel, a year older than I and already in City College, helped me fill out forms for spring classes. We moved out of the house believing that if we got an apartment, we could finally be happy. We each got $90 a month from Social Security. Our father had died when his body was caught in the rollers of a giant machine at Valley Industrial. We were small, twigs of flesh then, and our relatives had stuffed our pockets with candies and dollar bills. At the funeral, I pulled out a Milky Way and took a bite. With my hand over my mouth, I chewed, looking down at the dirty floor. The sweetness rolled in my mouth and disappeared. Our Social Security money might be enough to live on, we figured, and if not, we could do field work. After all, it was spring. The fields were green with the sweet plugs of onions and beets, with cotton and the first unraveling of tomato plants. We could drive in any direction and come upon plum and apricot orchards. There were cantaloupes in June. In August, there were the grape fields, which we knew as a dusty hell where you crawled on your knees, cutting bunches of grapes into pans. We found a cottage apartment near downtown Fresno. The screen door was ripped. The windows were grimy, and a filthy line of moss bred where the swamp cooler leaked. But the rent was only $110. The walls were a dirty white, and 2 doors were darkened with crayon scribbles. Children had once lived in the apartment, and we had to correct their mistakes with paint, window cleaner, and Dutch cleanser. Luckily, the landlady, Mrs. Garupa, who lived with her daughter and her daughter's baby in the adjoining apartment, lent us the supplies. She gave us a bundle of rags, her husband's old T-shirts, a husband long dead, living now only in the photograph on her TV set. The cleaning took 2 days, Friday and Saturday. On Sunday, after I had gone to Mass, we brought in our furniture, 2 beds and 2 tables. We had a radio, but no stereo for our records. We hung up some of my artwork, including the collage of Cesar Chavez and the United Farm Workers picketing for better wages. "You like it here?" the landlady asked while watering a circle of spring flowers sagging in the sun. She was wearing a print dress and a hat with plastic fruit that bounced and clacked. "Oh, yes," Abel smiled. We were resting on the front porch, taking in the last hours of day. "Yeah, it's a nice place," I agreed. I looked at Abel and, poking him with my elbow, said, "Hi, Abel." Abel nodded his head and said loudly, "It's really nice, Mrs. Garupa." Silence ate at us. Fooling with my fingers as I munched on my lower lip, I asked brightly,